Hi, I'm Nakul Malik and I'm a motorcycle skills coach. I do training days, boot camps and workshops focused on off-road motorcycling and preparedness, both mechanical as well as medical. In this video, we're going to talk about gear for adventure motorcycling and off-road riding. I love to ride everything from small dirt bikes to the biggest, baddest machines available today. I'm also a certified wilderness first responder, a little bit of a mechanic and a paraglider pilot. So today, I want to talk to you about gear for adventure motorcycling. This is a typical setup of what someone going adventure motorcycling on a typical day would wear. So we're going to start at the top at the helmet and work our way all the way down to the boots. Now, most of us come into the adventure motorcycling world either from the track or from the street. More from the street than the track. But coming from those worlds into adventure motorcycling means that we come in with preconceived notions of what gear to wear, how to ride. However, the adventure motorcycling world is very, very different from the street. And as such, it requires a different set of gear because of different functionality that is needed to be efficient and safe. Now here, we start at the helmet. And when we look at this helmet, this is a typical adventure motorcycle helmet. It has a peak, it has tons of ventilation all around, and most of all, the viewport is large enough for a pair of motorcycle goggles. Now, why is this important? This is important not just because the peak looks cool, but it gives you a little bit of protection from not just light from the sun, but also when you're riding on a trail and there's branches and stuff coming down, you dip your head and the beak here, it deflects the branches so they don't come into your eyes. So this is an important feature of an adventure motorcycle helmet. Almost all of them, both modular as well as non-modular helmets, feature this. Now you have a couple of vents here. You have a chin vent. There's some additional brow vents here, and there are two more air intakes up on top behind the beak. Then there are exhaust ports at the back. Almost every well-designed adventure or motocross helmet that you come across will have this sort of configuration for ventilation. And now we come to why. So ventilation is one of the most important aspects, especially in our conditions in India, because most of the time we have a lot of heat. And when we have a lot of heat, our reaction times and our bodies get overheated, especially at the head, our reaction times tend to go down. So you get slower reaction times, which makes you a little more unsafe than you would be if you were not overheated. So the ventilation's super important. Another important aspect of helmets is the standard that they follow. The certification standards that we care about are ECE, DOT, Snell, and Sharp. Not all standards are created equal, so it's up to you to figure out which standard suits your riding style. For adventure riding, most of the time, the standard we're looking to get is ECE. The next item on our list is these goggles. These goggles have a couple of different features. I have another pair here, and let's go over what we have. A, they provide impact protection. B, this multi-layer foam is here, or what is also known as dual density foam, is here for comfort, so that when they press onto our face, they don't hurt after a while. And it also covers these ports. You can't see them on the camera, but there's ports here under this foam which allow for ventilation, so your eyes have fresh circulating air inside the goggles. A couple of more nice to have features on these goggles are, or whatever goggles you choose, are they should be OTG or over the glasses. So if you wear glasses, the goggles should be comfortable over them. Photochromatic lenses are always nice to have. That way you don't have to swap lenses in the middle of the day. And finally, there has to be a nice anti-fog coating on them. Because after a while, even in non-humid conditions, your breath tends to come upwards from and gets deflected from inside the helmet towards the goggle lens and tends to fog. So you need good anti-fog coating. If you're riding in extreme conditions, especially desert conditions where the lens tends to get sandblasted, then muddy conditions where you get a lot of splatter, then you use these pins for either roll off canisters or tear off layers. So every time it gets dirty, you simply tear a layer off and you have a fresh new lens to look through. What you see here is the neck brace. This is a Liat neck brace. This is my personal neck brace. And I consider this one of the most important items of adventure riding gear that I wear on a regular basis. This neck brace prevents neck injuries and fractures by transferring load. There is a 45% increased chance of injury when you're not wearing a neck brace. So personally, I always wear a neck brace when I'm riding off-road or in extreme conditions. And now I'll try and show you how the load gets transferred. The next piece of protective gear that we're going to talk about is body armor. Body armor is of multiple types. This here is an example of hard body armor. This is hard shell on the outside, soft on the inside. There is also entirely soft body armor as well as only hard body armor. This is the best of both worlds because it gives you hard armor where you need penetration protection and soft armor where you just need a little bit of impact protection. It has chest protection, it has back protection, shoulder as well as elbow. Another good feature of this body armor is the built-in kidney belt, which holds all your internal organs in place when you're going over hard terrain and bouncing around. Finally, the material that is next to skin, the next to skin layer of this armor is moisture wicking, which tends to keep you cool and efficient while riding off-road. The next item of protective gear on our list is the knee brace. Knee braces protect us from torsional injuries, which is in layman terms, twist injuries. Twist injuries are very common in off-road and adventure riding scenarios, mostly because you're standing up, you're riding, and your body is turning around and twisting in order to get the right balance on complicated terrain. So what happens is your foot remains in one plane while your upper body tries to twist, and that, when in the event of a crash or a get off, can lead to a torsional injury. Torsional injuries can be prevented with this. This is a C-frame knee brace. This is made of carbon fiber and it has a protection for your kneecap, the patella. This is a CE level 1 protection, and the shin plate and the frame of this carbon fiber knee brace is a sacrificial part. So if you encounter a torsional injury where your leg tries to twist, this will prevent, this will break, and it will prevent any damage from happening to your thigh or your shin bones. The most common injuries to your knee that happen while adventure riding are ligament tears, and most of them happen because of twisting injuries. So this brace will sacrifice itself and break before a twist injury happens. Now we come to the boots. The boots are a critical part of your protective gear, primarily because you're standing on the pegs most of the time when it comes to challenging terrain. And when the terrain becomes too challenging and you end up doing a dab, your foot goes down at speed, touches the ground and comes back up. That is when you need a good sturdy pair of off-road capable boots. A good pair of off-road capable or adventure riding capable boots will be stiff enough that they won't be very comfortable to walk in. They will usually have a small piece of steel in front to prevent impacts from affecting your toes, and there'll be a nice stiff shank inside to maintain the structure of the boot. Also, the ankle mobility in your shoe will be limited. Because of limited ankle mobility, initially when most people get into a new pair of off-road capable boots, they have trouble walking. Remember, these boots are not meant for hiking. You just need to be able to walk around in them. You can't do a 20-mile hike in them, because if you could, then they would no longer serve the purpose of protecting your ankles. Finally, we come to gloves. Gloves are very important because they are covering your primary controls of your bike, which is your hands. So if you're trail riding, you might and probably will encounter vegetation and bushes which will brush along your hands. They might have thorns. So a good pair of abrasion resistant gloves are very, very important. But since we are looking at adventure riding, you also need impact protection in the case of a get-off. So something like D3O protection at the knuckles and at the edges of the fingers is also very important. Now that we've covered most of the protective equipment that we wear while riding off-road, we come to the top layers that we have. This is commonly known as a motocross jersey. Most of the time, over our body armor, we wear something that is nice, stretchable. This has 4-way stretch so that your body has enough flexibility to move. It doesn't restrain your body from moving around. And the moisture wicking layer of the body armor transports the sweat away from the skin, and you need a breathable jersey to allow that sweat to evaporate. Similarly, you have a pair of very ventilated motocross pants at the bottom. These will keep you nice and cool while you're riding, as well as prevent abrasion. And finally, we have the hydration bag. You definitely need a hydration bag when doing any sort of riding, but even more so when adventure riding, simply because dehydration causes you to lose focus and slows down reaction times, which is the exact opposite of what we want. So we need a hydration bag to keep sipping water and to stay hydrated, focused, and enjoy our ride. So with this video, hopefully we were able to give you a little bit of background on what adventure and off-road gear is all about. If you have more questions or want more details, feel free to reach out to us and we'll try our best to give you all the information you need. Thank you.